Everyone remembers the knockouts, the explosions, the fear. A young heavyweight champion who seemed less like a man and more like a force of nature. Opponents often looked defeated before the opening bell had even finished ringing. For years, the world believed it was witnessing the most terrifying boxer who had ever lived. But that image raises a far more unsettling question. How could the most feared fighter on earth become one of the most emotionally fragile men in the room? It is tempting to blame fame, money, bad decisions, the wrong people. Each explanation contains part of the truth, but none fully explains what happened. Because if Mike Tyson's story teaches us anything, it is that collapse rarely begins when everyone notices. It begins much earlier, long before the championships, long before the world learns your name. Perhaps fear was never the thing Tyson conquered. Perhaps fear was the engine that drove everything. Mike Tyson was born in Brooklyn in 1966. His childhood was shaped by poverty, instability, and violence. He has spoken openly about being bullied, about feeling small, about growing up where intimidation was part of everyday life. Many children learn to avoid fear. Tyson learned to survive inside it. That distinction matters. Survival teaches vigilance, constant readiness. It convinces you that the world is dangerous. By his early teens, Tyson had already been arrested dozens of times. His future seemed almost inevitable. Then everything changed. He met Cus D'Amato. History remembers Cus as a legendary boxing trainer. But he offered Tyson something even more important: a psychological structure. D'Amato believed fear was permanent. The difference between ordinary people and extraordinary ones was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. That idea became the foundation of Tyson's identity. Training became emotional conditioning. Discipline replaced chaos. Routine replaced uncertainty. Every victory reinforced the belief that fear could be controlled. For a while, it worked. The frightened boy disappeared behind the image of an unstoppable heavyweight. But there is a difference between mastering fear and building your entire identity around containing it. And that leaves one final question. What happens when the man who built that psychological foundation is suddenly gone? Cus D'Amato died in November 1985. Mike Tyson was only 19 years old. He had not yet become heavyweight champion, but the psychological center of his world had already disappeared. Many believe Tyson's downfall began with fame. The evidence suggests it began much earlier. Cus had built more than a fighter. He had built a system. Inside that system, Tyson knew exactly who he was. He trained. He listened. He improved. Without Cus, the routines remained. The meaning behind them did not. 1 year later, Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He unified the heavyweight division with astonishing speed. Opponents often looked defeated before the opening bell. Many called him fearless. Cus had taught him something different. Fear never disappears. You learn to act despite it. Perhaps Tyson never fought without fear. Perhaps he simply learned to move faster than it. That changes how we understand his peekaboo style. It was not only offense, it was protection. Every movement reduced vulnerability before creating attack. Strike first, and you regain control. For several years, the formula seemed unstoppable. Then success slowly began to dismantle the discipline that had created it. After Cus's death, fame expanded faster than Tyson's emotional maturity. His inner circle changed. Training lost consistency. Personal relationships became unstable. His public empire grew. His inner structure weakened. Victories concealed those cracks. Until February 1990. Tokyo. Buster Douglas. one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. But perhaps the real shock was not that Tyson lost. Every champion eventually loses. The real question was why one defeat seemed to destroy his identity. A championship can be reclaimed. An identity built upon invincibility cannot. And once that illusion collapses, what remains? The years that followed did not simply test Mike Tyson. They exposed him. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of rape and sentenced to prison. He has always maintained his innocence. The conviction remains one of the most controversial events of his life. Whatever conclusion one reaches, its impact on Tyson's identity is impossible to ignore. For 3 years, the man who had dominated every arena was confined to a prison cell. When Tyson returned in 1995, the power remained. The knockouts returned. But something essential had changed. The psychological structure that Cus D'Amato had built was gone. Tyson still possessed the weapons. He no longer possessed the emotional foundation that had once controlled them. The clearest example came in 1997. The rematch with Evander Holyfield. Most people remember only one moment. The bite. It became one of the most infamous incidents in sports history. For years, it was explained as uncontrollable rage. Perhaps it was something deeper. Holyfield refused to be intimidated. He disrupted Tyson's rhythm. He forced him into uncertainty. The bite did not win the fight. It ended it. It was the visible collapse of the psychological system that had once made Tyson appear invincible. For years afterward, Tyson spoke with remarkable honesty about his fears. He described himself as insecure, as frightened, as someone who battled self-doubt despite worldwide fame. Those admissions changed the entire story. Perhaps Tyson was never driven by confidence. Perhaps confidence was only the image the world projected onto him. The real engine was fear. Fear of humiliation. Fear of weakness. Fear of becoming the vulnerable child he believed he had escaped. None of this excuses his actions. His mistakes remain his responsibility. Understanding is not forgiveness. It is clarity. So, how could the most feared boxer in history become the most fragile man in the room? Perhaps he never became that man. Perhaps both versions of Mike Tyson existed from the very beginning. The terrifying champion was real. The frightened child was real. Cus D'Amato's discipline allowed one identity to control the other. For a time, but no psychological system survives forever when it depends on a single person. Eventually, it collapsed. And when it did, the fear that had always fueled Tyson's greatness was no longer hidden. Mike Tyson's legacy is therefore more complicated than championships, more complicated than knockouts. His story reminds us that extraordinary strength can grow from extraordinary vulnerability. Greatness does not erase fear. It learns to live beside it. And when the arena finally becomes silent, when the crowd goes home, the final opponent is rarely standing across the ring. Sometimes, it has been waiting inside you all along.